Consistent. Alright. Can't work on that on streams. Let's do something else. Oh yeah, I never did finish Hexiva, but I don't think I can work on her during stream. I can't check. Oh well. Let's just draw a character. Doing something casual. Hello, hello. Evening for me, so good evening. Don't want to waste that. Man, so many. You know, it's been a while since I've drawn someone from Greenfield, other than the usual suspects. Let's do Bacon. All right. Okay, let me just look for a decent pose for her. Let's see, what pose would be good? Something a little less. That one's fine. Go with this. Alright, so let me just put Bacon's artwork up here, just so it's not just nothing else. There we go. Alright, let's get started. Oh shit. Did that mess up my... Yes it did. Fuck. Did not mean to do that. There we go. I don't know why it did that. This will also give me a chance to experiment with the something I've been looking through. Just find a good example. That'll work. Since I don't need that on screen. There we go. Jesus Christ. Oh god. Geo Wolfie, thank you for the raid. Seriously, I was like, what the hell? Oh god, I've completely forgotten what sounds I put for stuff, so that coming out of nowhere just almost fucking scared me. I was like, what the hell? Hello. I need a moment. Okay, I'm good. Whew. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, it's been a while. I've been trying to stream again on Twitch. I've been streaming on YouTube on and off, but I'm trying to do it again on Twitch. I just have to be careful on what I stream on Twitch because Twitch is a lot more restrictive than YouTube is, ironically enough. It's like with Twitch, you don't have to work as much to get some form of monetization, but with YouTube you gotta work for it. Thick Lover, thank you for the follow. But yeah, they're both a trade-off. It's like you can do more on YouTube, but you can get get some form of monetization. Obviously, there's tiers to it, but you can get like the beginner's version of it easier on Twitch. Oh, no worries. I hope you have a good time as well. Take care. Thank you, glad you liked them. Still working on their other stories. Just gotta do it one at, well, I say one at a time and I'm working on like 5 comics simultaneously, so yeah. But yeah, thank you, I'm glad you liked them. Right now I'm doing Bacon from Greenfield. She's only shown up once in the comic so far. But she will have a somewhat major role later down the line. I say somewhat because she shares it with other characters. Her hair is weird though, so I'm gonna do that on a separate layer. But I want to get the basics of her done first. She's got a little bit bigger arms than that. Good morning. Oh wow. Hope the storm isn't too bad. Actually, I kind of want that as an example. I'm trying to experiment with a few things for this picture. Maybe. I'm not gonna promise anything just in case. I mean, I shouldn't be promising anything. Let me read back to this. Swear, anytime you have fat Marcy, especially her bigger. Yeah. Marcy is a fun one to draw. She's definitely one of my most popular characters. Oh yeah, seeing lightning from afar is always interesting. Then at about 4 rolled over, like, yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna be experimenting a bit with some stuff I'm trying to learn. There's an artist I've come across that does crazy realistic details on their stuff, so I'm trying to adapt some of that into what I do. Apparently they were shonen artists before they realized that they could do more with hentai because of how crazy detailed they did stuff. Because when they did the detail stuff in the shonen comic, it was because of how gory the action scenes would get and like the crazy detail he would do on that. So he realized if he just put that into hentai, then he could go further, and sure enough, he did. Yeah, I'm doing well. Just working on the stuff I'm working on. I'm working on the Hetty versus Marcy comic, but I can't show that on stream. There we go. It's mostly because I'm streaming on Twitch. If it was just YouTube, then I could show it. But that's one of the drawbacks to streaming on Twitch. Honestly, that's like the only real drawback when it comes to Twitch, is just the level of mature content. Because if it's like a video game, it's fine, as long as it's not like the main focus of the game. But with artwork, it's pretty much just a no. But with YouTube, it's okay as long as there's no like. Basically, the most you could show is titties and maybe a plastic dick, but that's like probably on the line, if not over it. So I probably wouldn't risk that, but titties is pretty much fine for YouTube. Oh, no worries. If you gotta go, you gotta go. Always the one. Commissioned a French fry. You commissioned that one? If I don't, then I would probably make some if necessary. Honestly, those type of characters would probably be in the more magical the more magical areas, they wouldn't be a normal. It would not be a normal thing. And I need to make your arm just a little bit longer. Bacon's got some big hands. For the most part, I liked it. Let's see. I guess, like, there's some criticism here and there, but, like, for the most part, I overall like it. I guess if there was anything I really wanted to, like, nitpick, maybe, is I wish they had leaned more into just actually saying that Jax was trans instead of just tiptoeing around it and making it super vague. Like, they would show you, like, obvious hints and, like, you know, somewhat clarifications, like, oh, you know, he's wearing particular accessories and outfits and, you know, the way his room is designed and stuff like that. Like, sure, but, like, they never just straight up tell you that that's the case. It's like it's almost outside information because obviously Jax is supposed to be like a bit of a self-insert from the creator of Amazing Digital Circus. And if you didn't know that, then it just makes it even more like speculation, or even just straight up like you would not know this information and think that it was just more of a joke. That's like, oh, he's wearing the maid outfit, funny. Or, oh, they put the bow on his head, oh, that's cute. Like, they never 100% just tell you. And it has to be like stuff that you go outside of the show in order to figure out. I do wish they'd shown like how abstraction actually happens to somebody. Like, it didn't have to be Jax specifically, but it would have been interesting to see it happen to a character, whether it had been Ribbit or even just like another side character that came before Jax had arrived, or anybody else that possibly could have shown up before Gangle did. So I wish they had shown stuff on that. Parts of the pacing of episode 9 definitely felt like it was a little rushed, but that was probably because of the nonsense that was happening with between the fandom and the creator. Like, the creator was probably just getting to the point of being done with it because air quotes fans were kind of ruining it for them. So that could be the reason why the pacing felt a little weird. But other than that, it was pretty much fine. I wish we'd still focused a little bit more on the other characters. Country Tarts, thank you for the follow. Because like obviously Jax was like the star of episode 9 because of his, I don't know if it's like because of his popularity or because of the fact that he's a self-insert situation. But I do wish we had a little bit more on the other characters. Because the most we really got about them was during the episode where they're sitting at the bar and just kind of giving a bit of an info drop on everybody, while Jax was, making up his backstory that Zubul calls him out on. Oh, thank you. Glad you like my stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to stream more often. It's sometimes I'm on and off depending on what I'm doing. Like if it's just straight up, if I'm trying to work on something that I just straight up can't stream, then I'll either not stream at all just so I can work on it, or I end up streaming something on the side, like such as this. I'll be honest, from watching weeks back. Yeah, like when they were first showing stuff about that with Jax, my immediate thought was that he was into cross-dressing. That was my immediate thought, because they didn't really hint too much that he was trans. Like there wasn't really any actual element to it other than like his color scheme, I guess. And like in today's age, that kind of stuff is like everybody's immediate forethought now, because it's like you're either gay or you're trans, and it's like a little, I guess too on the nose, or it feels forced. I guess that's the best way to put it. Nowadays, it just feels forced that a lot of characters have to have that, or it's just like put into almost everything. And it's supposed to feel more, at least to me, it's supposed to feel more natural, because me growing up with that stuff, I just thought all this shit was normal, so I never like saw it as something that constantly needed to be put in everybody's face or overly praised. So that's why when I saw Jax acting the way he was acting, my first thought was, okay, he's into cross-dressing. And that's why he was getting all flustered and defensive, because he didn't want to admit that he was into cross-dressing. But then once you learn about the outside information about the creator and stuff like that, then it's like, okay, it's going to be one of those situations where you find out that the character is a self-insert, so everyone's immediately go like, oh, Jax is this, confirmed. But then the story itself still keeps it vague. So it's like the creator wants to, have a character that represents this situation as well as themselves, but then they still treat it like it's a closeted thing. And it's a little bit frustrating when that's like the common storytelling for those types of characters. Because when you're having like a gay, trans, or whatever, air quotes outside the norm type of character, they're either kept super vague, where you have to figure it out somehow through the story, or it's, in this case, outside of the story. Or, like, for example, with gay characters, they crank it up to a degree where it's just, like, overly exaggerated. Because almost all the time, gay characters are treated just, like, super feminine. Or, have, like, a particular way of speaking with their mannerisms and stuff like that. There's never just, like, a basic, like, oh, you find out they're gay and you couldn't even tell. Like, because it was treated so normal that it wasn't even a thought. So that's my only real nitpick when it comes to that for Jax, because it just feels like, okay, if you're going to make this a big deal, then just say it. Like, I shouldn't have to go outside of the story to figure that out. Hello. Ever seen Cybermay from Mugen? No, because Mugen can be made with any type of made-up character, so they're technically not a character that exists outside of, like, a fan thing. I thought Zubul was more of a vehicle for the trans thing. Like, and that's the thing, because Zubul seems more obvious about it, whether they were trans or asexual or something like that. And you could tell that Jax was trying to, like, call her out on it, or call them out on it, by constantly bringing up their random jobs and trying to poke at it. And Zubul even calls him out on it. It's like, okay, you keep pointing this out, but what are you trying to say? And he wouldn't go through with it. So you could tell that he was trying to project onto her, or onto them. It's kind of hard to say if it's a she or them, because they keep flip-flopping between the two. But Jax was trying to call it out, but never commits to it. Because basically after the events of him and Ribbit, he literally finds out information about the other characters and tries to manipulate them and use it against them, which is exactly what he thought Ribbit was going to do to him, but she never did that. And so he just keeps doing it to everybody else. But yeah, it's like Zubul was like literally the answer right in front of his face, and he kept like trying to poke jokes at it and being in denial. Alright, you have a good night. There's a fairly recently animated film, which is high school jock character, be gay, industry as I'm gay, no big deal. Yeah, it's one of those, like, at least in my from my perspective, because when I was growing up, I was around people who were gay or trans or whatever, and I just treated it as normal, because it wasn't like, to me, it's not something that you have to like go out of your way to make it like broadcast or flashy, or you need to have like a giant goddamn celebration over for something that's supposed to be treated as normal. Because to me, when you overblow something like that it just makes it not seem normal. It makes it seem like you have to jump through hoops to get people to acknowledge something that should already be a basic thing. And again, and this can go for like anything, whether it be religion or ethnicities and stuff like that, or culture or whatever. Like, if you're not, as long as you're not like forcing it down everybody's throats, then everybody's chill. That nobody, nobody's gonna be apprehensive about it because it's just like whatever. But if you have to constantly make it like a big deal more than it should be, because it makes it seem like it's not normal, then that's what kind of ruins it. And I don't think people understand this. Random idea, Becky in the digital circus. Yeah, if Becky was there, nothing would change. She'd be like, I look exactly the same, and they'd be like, what? But yeah, that's pretty much my only real gripe with episode 9, was that I just felt that if they were gonna go through all of this just to acknowledge that Jax was trans, they should have just 100% confirmed it, instead of, again, making that information that you had to go outside of the show to find out. Even when they show Jax in real life, it looks like he never committed to whether or not he was going to be trans. And for all we know, he probably didn't, because, going through the stuff that he went through, because, you have to remember, he made himself homeless. I think in the messages it said that his mom was okay. I'd have to look again. It's been a bit because I didn't super thoroughly look through the images, but or the messages and images and all that. But if nothing came more of that, like, we don't know if he decided against it because of his interactions with other people. There's nothing. Whereas the Jax in the digital circus, he's just there conflicted because he doesn't really have, or he never had an outlet, or he did, but he panicked and threw it all away. And so we have two different paths. Kind of like with Gangle. Gangle's still, anxious about their art and the things that they like, probably because Jax kept, making it seem like it was weird. And then the Gangle in real life, quit their job, became a designer, and put up their webcomic. So we're seeing two different routes based on specific scenarios. Oh yeah, the stupid stuff. The idea is a woman T-posing, chopped out hands, blah blah blah. Interesting. They never said, we just know he found a job. Yeah, we see him with a job, and that's about it. And hanging with friends. And I would say that the closest the real life Jax gets to possibly admitting that they're trans, or thinking about it at least, is going to Zubal's bar, or the real life Zubal's bar, because there, it's said that Zubal is trying to treat it as a place where people can be themselves and stuff like that, and there's no judgment. So there's a chance that you might be considering it, or being a little bit more comfortable with it in real life. But that's it. That's the closest we get to knowing this information. But I still wish they had just straight up said it in the show, instead of having to figure it out through context clues. And then, of course, again, the outside information. It's if you watch the show and you didn't know that the creator was trans, or that Jax was a self-insert character, then would you have really known that was the case with him in the show? And again, just not knowing that and just looking at him in the show, my immediate thought was that he was a crossdresser. That was my first thought before learning all that information. Because even looking at his color scheme, I was not paying attention to, oh, he's these colors, that must mean he's trans, type of thing. Because a lot of people do that nowadays, where they try to analyze a character's color scheme and try to figure it out that way rather than what the character is actually doing. Hello, hello. Welcome. Trying to think of anything else. I'm glad they didn't save Jax because I'm tired of the whole everything has to be happy situation. And it's like, look, if it didn't work for everybody else, why would it work now? Type of thing. Like, I'll give them that Jax was the most recent to abstract and all that, but so there'd be like at least a sliver of a chance of saving him because he hadn't have abstracted that long. But other than that, if it was possible to save them, I'm pretty sure Kane would have done that already. Because it makes no sense for him to just leave them like that. Especially if he's trying to, preserve them by keeping them entertained and stuff like that. But again, glad they didn't save him. Or at the very least, if they were gonna save them, it should have been like a season 2 type of thing. Like they could have like figured that out at a later point, if it was even possible. Especially now that they learn that their brain scans and like they have more control over the system and stuff like that, then they could maybe try to suggest that it's possible, probably through Kinger and maybe Kane trying to work together since they're both programming based characters. But outside of that, if that wasn't the case, then yeah, just leave it alone. It's better to just keep them abstracted. Yeah, exactly. Let me see. Oh, you got yourself a gaming PC? That's good. It must be expensive as hell now, but hopefully it does what you want. Besides, they have nothing but time on their hands. Time to brew. Yeah. Yeah, now that they have basically infinite time, okay, if there was going to be a season 2, the toxic fans kind of ruined that. Because now the creator doesn't want anything to do with the show anymore. So, if that was going to be the case, the fandom kind of ruined it. But there's always a chance that the creator will, calm down or feel better after some time has passed and nobody's bugging them about it. But if there was going to be a season 2, that would be probably a better time to figure out whether or not they could cure abstracting. And you can even make it like a bittersweet type of thing. You can make it so like I would make it like a season finale for season 2 where they figure out that they can bring somebody back from abstracting, but they find out that it's temporary. And they haven't figured out how to make it permanent. So like let's just say they bring back Jax and let's just say Ribbit with maybe Kaufmo. I would just say Jax and Ribbit. You bring them back, everything seems fine. Ribbit and Jax probably have finally talked to each other and tried to have like an actual conversation. And however, whether or not Jax apologizes is up in the air type of thing, whatever. And then at some point, one of them starts abstracting again, and we actually see the process of how it happens. Like, not so much due to, depression and anxiety and all that, but just, like, how it morphs the character. and then we can make it like a slower process than it would normally. So like maybe because like they did release the abstraction versions of the toys, so there are figures of all the characters, including like Ragatha and Kinger, on how they would look like when they're in the middle of extracting. So they could go that route to make it look all twisted, kind of similar to Magica Madoka, where we see the witch, the semi-witch transformation forms that the characters have in records. So if they did that route, we could see the characters like partially abstract, so they're like some weird like warped monster versions, and then they go back to, you know, the abstracts that they were. So you can make that like towards the end of season 2, and then season 3 is where they finally figure it out and it's permanent or something. And but they can only do it like one at a time, or it takes like a long process, and then we slowly see the characters come back, like including the ones that we don't really know the names to. So they could go that route too. But again, this is something that I feel you need to like pace out, and it's definitely not a season 1 idea. You definitely don't want to blow that for season 1 if there was plans to make another season. So that's my thoughts on it. Any advice for doing metal shading, like on? Just look at reference, honestly. Like depending on what kind of metal you're trying to do, just look at reference on how it reflects on certain things. Like look at reference for metal and reference for latex, because that will probably help a lot. What do I think about Little Deadly Things? I don't know anything about that. Let me see. Sometimes I won't recognize the name, so I have to like look it up. It might be something I'm familiar with. Why is this? Okay. I was like, what is that? Little Deadly Things. What is that? I don't think it's coming up for me. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Yeah, it won't come up for me, so I don't know what you're talking about specifically. But yeah, when it comes to metal, like I do it pretty basic style, where it's just like, you know, dark line and then the highlight. But if you're trying to get like super detailed, I would suggest looking up reference. Carmelita Fox. She's okay. I haven't played Sly Cooper, so I'm not like attached to her. But I've seen like enough of her to understand her personality and stuff like that. But she's an okay character. I know some of the story stuff with her and Sly and all that stuff. Like with the whole memory thing and all that. But, yeah, I think she's an okay character. Alright, have a good night. Oh, you're learning Blender? It'll get easier the more you use it. Just look up tutorials and stuff like that, practice, and it'll eventually get easier. That's how it was when I was using 3D modeling software for a while. I haven't used it in a long time though, but if I were to get back into it, I'd probably learn Blender. Like, I have Blender downloaded in the off chance that I do that, but yeah, just keep at it. I haven't done it in years. I have some examples on DeviantArt, but that's about it. Nothing crazy. Like, it's been probably... no, not over, but it's been 16 years since I've done anything in 3D. Maybe if I do another Waking Drive, I'll probably start with Toriel from Undertale. But it may be a while. I mean, putting glasses on her, sure, but it wouldn't really make it feel like it was Deltarune. Because it's more about the outfit in that case. And that would probably be too much work for Waking Drive. Maybe as like a stretch goal or something, so like the initial goal would be however much it is, and then after that would be like, alright, for this much, then there'd be like another alternate. Because it's doable, but it's just a lot of work to make it seem like it's from both series. Not necessarily in an Undertale mood. It's just she got voted for as the next Waking Drive character, but I haven't done another Waking Drive in months. So, or I don't know. When was the last one? Let me check. When was the last one that I did? Throw this on for a moment. Let's see. Last one was... is it in here? No, it's not in here. It should be in here. Drives. Last one I believe was Chica, and that was, damn, almost 3 years ago already. Damn, time flies. I thought it was months. Shit. Yeah, it was Chica. I thought it was months. It's been almost three damn years. Jesus. What's my opinion of Flaky from Happy Tree Friends? Don't really have an opinion of them. They're an okay character. Not my favorite, but they're okay. There's not really much to say about them, honestly. Like, was there a specific answer you were looking for, or... Because that's a bit of a random character to ask about. Not so much as a burnout, but like I don't know, I just wasn't interested in doing it again. It was just easier doing stuff, working on the other stuff that I was working on. Or not even easier, just more interested in it. But I always thought to myself, if I ever did another weight gain drive, Torio is on top of the list. And I've thought about it on and off. I think I briefly started it, but there's nothing to show. Just like small start of it. But nothing crazy. Because I still have to do like the teaser image first, or not teaser, but like the start, and then put up that there's going to be a drive for it. There's nothing to think of for the character. She just gets scared, and that's kind of it. She gets scared and gets killed. Sometimes it works out in their favor, and most of the time it doesn't. Like, there's nothing really to analyze about Happy Tree Friends. Like, the most you ever get is that, God, I've forgotten the names. What is it? The military ones? Like, we know he has PTSD, and then we know that the Moose guy has various jobs and is stupid. That's kinda it, really, in terms of going in deep. I guess learning that certain characters have allergies, but that's kind of it, really. There's nothing really to think about. They're just built to die and come back and then die again in violent ways. I don't want to understand how you're gonna do this. You'd have to be more specific about that. And like realistically, everybody's a hypocrite for something. Whether it's intentional or not. Really? Vanilla was the last one? That would be Chica. Oh, you know what? It's because that was when I swapped to to just buying the set immediately rather than an actual drive. That's why. Yeah, that makes sense. Because Chica was the last like funded one, and Vanilla was the straight to buy one. Yeah, that's why. So yeah, Vanilla was the last. So it was 2 years. I have no idea who those people are. Yeah, with Vanilla, I changed hers to to straight up buying because people had expressed to me that it would be frustrating to try to have certain characters get funded if they're not popular enough, type of thing, and they would just be stuck in like limbo in terms of a weight gain drive, and that it would be better off if I just made it straight to buy. So that's what I did with Vanilla. And then I'll likely do the same with Toriel if I return to it. But yeah, that was the reason why. I mean, you're calling them hypocrites, but I know nothing about them. I don't know what the situation is. Like, you're having a conversation that I have zero context for. Hello, hello. Welcome. picking up her legs a little bit. This is Bacon from Creamfield. She has shown up briefly in Kiwi's comic. Do I like ARGs? Heavily depends on what it is. Most of the time, no, because they end up just leading to more problems. And then depending on what it's connected to is probably not worth it. Man, police must be looking for somebody. There's helicopters circling around where I live. Oh, I should probably save. That would be the smart thing to do. They're usually like one of those things where you look for stuff in real life or whatever. At least I think that's the case. It's been a while since I've looked into stuff like that. You gotta be careful with those things because sometimes they're used for robberies, other times they're used for possibly criminal stuff, such as finding dead bodies and stuff like that. So you really gotta pick and choose where you're doing that stuff from. And then you definitely don't want kids getting into that stuff. Yeah, like unless the thing that you're in, like that you're doing it for, is like well constructed and stuff like that, it's most of the time it's not even worth it. Like you definitely gotta, if you're gonna do them, they definitely gotta be from people that understand how to do it well. And then, of course, you know, make sure it's not a scam of some sort. But I don't really hear about them much anymore. I think there was going to be like a Five Nights at Freddy's one at some point, but then it got canceled because sometimes the fandom can be really fucking crazy. It was like when I forget how this came up, but like it was like I can't remember if it was like one of the games or in like one of the booklets or whatever. People found like coordinates to something, but when like they put it in, and coincidentally it connected them to like a pizzeria, and so everybody kept bothering the pizzeria asking if it had anything to do with Five Nights at Freddy's, and that was just like a sheer coincidence. It wasn't even like planned for that to happen, and that's why they don't do that stuff, because they don't want to bother businesses and other places about that kind of thing. Like it was just pure coincidence that the coordinates that they found happened to land on a pizzeria. I mean, if dumb luck doesn't exist, I don't know what to tell you on that one. Yeah, it was sheer coincidence. It was not planned. And like even the creator had to come out and say, no, that place has nothing to do with Five Nights at Freddy's. It was a complete accident. Because I think like the numbers or whatever had to do with something in the games or something like that, or something like book related. And people were trying to like see if it had anything to do with like a map or something, and it just happened to fall onto a pizzeria. It was just like a random location too. It wasn't even like somewhere that the creator lived or anything like that. Or if it did, that just made it worse. Because it's like, oh, it landed here, and so is from here, and it's a pizzeria, so it must be connected to Five Nights at Freddy's. And it was like, no. It might have been Game Theory. I think it was something Game Theory was doing, and it just happened to be a pizzeria or something. I don't know. I'd have to look it up somewhere. But that was a thing that happened. No, it definitely was not planned. It was meant for, like, the numbers or whatever was meant for something else. And people just put it into a map to try to see if that was, like, figuring out the clue or something like that. And it just happened to land on the pizzeria. Like, the coordinates just happened to match up to a pizzeria. It was not planned. Although, whoever put together the puzzle, if they did do that on purpose, like they figured out that was a pizzeria and then they used the numbers for what it was really for, and they did that on purpose. If that was the case, then yeah, that's a dick move. But as far as I'm aware of, it was not planned. I want to say it had to do with game theory at this time, because I remember MatPat had to come out and tell people, like, guys, no. Okay, yeah, that was the case, because I think somebody did something and MatPat had to come out and, like, try to tell people how to act when going through this stuff. Yeah, like, people do really crazy and outlandish things when it comes to games or anything else that they're interested in. Like when Pokemon Go came out and people were, like, purposely trespassing into certain areas and stuff like that. Which Pokemon Go was a bit of a Trojan horse because it was being used to help map out areas accurately. So it was both a game and how to get people to map out locations for free. So yeah, whoever played Pokemon Go, congratulations, you were used to create digital maps. So congratulations for doing that for free. But yeah, like, there were people, like, jumping fences and not paying attention and walking off cliffs. Like, that was a thing that happened. Like, people straight up walked off cliffs to their death, not paying attention, trying to catch Pokemon. Some people got shot at for going onto private property and stuff, like. And I think, unfortunately, it's because there are certain people coming from a generation that doesn't have that are, like, not developing these social cues anymore. So it's just getting worse, along with people that have mental disabilities. So it's like a combination of both. And then there are just people that are just straight up stupid. Like, it's like three things rolled into one, and it's all happening at the same time. And then if we go through the whole censorship route, that's a whole other can of worms. Yeah, I remember a long time ago when the Wii came out, there was a report of somebody breaking into somebody's house, finding a Nintendo Wii, and then waited for the owner to come home so they could ask the owner if they wanted to play the Wii together. Like, that was a thing that happened. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? And that was like back in like what, 2008 or something like that? You thought it was only in the commercial? No, there was a guy that broke into someone's house just and saw that there was a Wii and waited for the owner to come home and then asked them if they could play together. That was a super bizarre situation. Because the commercials were just two guys walking up to the door and saying, we would like to play, and then that's about it. It would just cut to everybody playing the Wii. That was it. It never did anything outside of that. I still remember a news report a long time ago of like two people breaking into someone's to a family's home, tying up the mom and dad, and the son, which was only like 8 or 10 years old, dressed up as a Power Ranger, or at least put on the mask, I think it was, and somehow fended off the robbers and saved his family. And I forget which Power Ranger he dressed up as. I want to say it was either Lightspeed Rescue or probably Wild Force. But yeah, he was only like 8 or 10 and somehow saved his family from robbers. And I don't know if like the robbers just like went with it because they were like so confused over a kid dressing up as a Power Ranger to save his family, which, you know, baller criminals for letting that happen, for letting the kid get a win off of that. But the fact that was even a thing that happened is crazy. Like, that was such a bizarre thing to hear. I'll be honest, if I was in that situation and a kid came out dressed up as a Power Ranger to try to save his family, I'd let him have it too. I'd be like, you know what? you get the I'll be like, you know what? No, I'm not dealing with a Power Ranger. Exactly. I was like, I would let the kid have it. I'm like, nah, man, I can't fight a Power Ranger. Because you know, if there's one Power Ranger, there's at least 4 others, or 2 to 4 others. So, like, nah, man, that's like a gang. You don't want to run with that, or try to take that on. So, luckily, nobody was hurt. But yeah, that was a interesting story. Yeah, you got to start paying attention to muscle more often. That'll be something I'll have to keep in mind in the future. It's a little subtle on her, but that's okay. Alright, let's put her hair on and do this way. Just so I can get it right. know what? Now I'm curious. Okay, if this is the one that I'm thinking of, the kid dressed up as a. Oh wait, is this the one? Yeah. Oh, okay. This was in 2006. A 4-year-old saved his family dressed up as a Power Ranger, and he was the Mystic Force Ranger. Yeah, and he was the Red Ranger or Red Mystic Force. There we go. That was the one. Jesus, he was even younger than that. I thought he was like 8. He was fucking 4. I think I watched some of their stuff back then. I don't know how much that I watched it, but I knew a decent amount. Like, the moment the main guys who started the channel left, that's when it went downhill. But it went downhill for a good reason, because the guys who started the channel, they weren't even making any money doing it. Like, it was that popular and they didn't make anything because of the other companies involved and stuff like that. So they weren't making shit. Like, it was one of YouTube's most popular channels at the time, and they didn't make a dime. I think the one I think this was from Smosh. It's been a long ass time. But the one with the demon or whatever trying to show them how to make commercials, but it like becomes all twisted and stuff and starts going crazy. I think that was Smosh. Or like they kept adding dubstep to everything. I think that's what it was. Like I said, it's been forever. Yeah, it was Smosh. Yeah, dubstep commercials. That's what it was. I'll watch that later. I'm gonna watch that again. It's been forever since I watched that. They let him win, yeah. Yeah, if a 4-year-old dressed up as a Power Ranger to stop me from robbing somebody, I would just let the kid have it. It's like, you know what? One, I'm not hurting a kid, and two, I'm not fighting a fucking Power Ranger. If that kid somehow grew up to be like, because that was back in 2006, so it's been 20 years since that happened. If that kid is somehow involved or was involved in like Power Ranger shows or something up until they stopped making Power Rangers, that'd be a nice cherry on top. If that was the case, because that's happened with Kamen Rider. There was a kid who appeared in like one of the movies or something like that, and he eventually, when he got older, he eventually got casted into like one of the roles for Kamen Rider Geats, and became a Kamen Rider. So hopefully that kid got into like something similar for like Power Rangers or any other show that's similar to Power Rangers. Even if it was like a stuntman or something. Or heck, make his own Power Rangers. Since they're making another Mega Man game, I'm very curious if there's going to get to a point where they show the Project Zero and what happens to like Bass and Treble and everybody else. Because we know everything goes to shit after X becomes a thing, and things just kind of get worse as time progresses. So I'm very curious on what exactly was the turning point where it's like, alright, there's no more Mega Man, Proto Man's likely gone, God knows what happened to Roll. Because if we go by the Game Boy games, Mega Man technically killed himself, because in the Game Boy games, Dr. Wily had finally captured Mega Man and reprogrammed him to become Quint, and he sends Quint back in time to kill Mega Man. And Mega Man defeats Quint, and destroys him. So by that logic, Mega Man killed himself. That's assuming that's even canon. So I'm very curious on if they'll still go with that, or if they're gonna have like a different idea. Poppy playtime. Uh, I feel they should not have changed whatever plans they originally had for the prototype, because you can tell that something does not line up with the recent chapter that came out. What was it, like chapter 5 or whatever? You can tell plans had changed, because if you go off of some of the information that you got involving the prototype and Poppy, it doesn't make sense, because there should have been a point in time where Poppy should have known who the prototype was based off of the information we got about both characters. And it doesn't line up, because in chapter 4, I think it's chapter 4, one of the two, it's either 4 or 5, when Poppy is following Ollie's information and stuff like that, she should have known who Ollie was, or at least been curious about the name because of the prototype's original name. So that's a question mark. Second, she should be aware of how the prototype acts, given how long she was put in her case by the prototype. And then there was something else that bugged me about it. I'm trying to remember what it was. It had to do with like, something just doesn't line up with how the prototype acted in the previous games than he does in chapter 5. Because if we're going off of how he was acting in the previous chapters, it seemed like the prototype just wanted to get the fuck out, and that was it. But then in chapter 5, they're treating it as if he never wanted anybody to leave. And he already knew that the other experiments were eventually going to die, but that he and Poppy were supposedly immortal, because I guess their organs just function differently. So there's just like a lot of information that doesn't make sense. And then there's like the whole like figure out that secret nonsense. I'm like, that has to do with like the doctor and all that. It's like, why does the prototype even give a shit? Because he didn't seem to give a shit about anybody else at a certain point, and only cares about just keeping whoever is remaining in the facility to just stay there. You know, employ whoever they want to employ to help out with the cause. But then he's like, the prototype's willing to kill other members of their small group to ensure that nobody knows that they can just leave the facility and have to deal with the outside world that way. You know, because it's, you know, crazy fucking warped toys running around type of thing. So he's just killing off his own people for whatever reason. And then there's supposedly some fucking secret that's such a big deal. And then, of course, they brought back the doctor, which is like another head-scratcher situation, which will probably bite them in the ass if they don't execute it properly the way they're trying to do the prototype. So it just feels like they had a plan for the character, and then they fumbled it because they wanted to extend it. Because from what I understand by the original writer, Chapter 5 was supposed to be the last game. And then they extended it. And then they even changed the prototype's design a little bit, because apparently he had a design that was closer to the shrine that Catnap had for him. So that changed, and then I thought the prototype was originally supposed to be a different character, but then other stuff happened. So hopefully they can get their shit together because it feels like they're fumbling it now because they're trying to milk it, and I guess it's supposed to be getting a movie soon. So I guess it's up in the air on what's gonna happen. Thank you. Glad you like it. Sorry, it takes me a moment to know what you're saying because I don't speak Spanish. Okay, how are we doing this? There's probably an easier way to do this. Might have to just do it manual. Trying not to worry about consistency too much when it comes to this. That looks sloppy though. Jesus Christ, this song. You told me that was a fucking Mega Man sound. I think you were fucking lying. Like, Mega Man, the series, is a really tragic story when you think about it. Because if we're going off of, like, the original timeline, it all just boils down to the world getting fucked up because all the robots gained or became sentient. And then like all these viruses happen and stuff like that. Eventually, humanity comes back, and then we get like the Mega Man Walnut, and then Walnut is trapped on the moon. And there was going to be a Mega Man Legends 3, but that got canceled. So far, Walnut is still on the goddamn moon. And if we're going off of Mega Man Zero and the ZX timeline and stuff like that, Zero dies. And is converted into a biometal in the future. Like Mega Man series is just depressing. Hello, hello. And if we're going off of the Game Boy games, Mega Man's dead. We don't know what happened to Bass, or Proto Man, or Roll, or Rush. Yeah, Eddie, Tango, Reggae, Beat. Like, I assume most of them just got decommissioned once Mega Man was gone. And if we're going off of the Game Boy timeline, I assume Rush was destroyed after Mega Man got captured. Because when Mega Man got captured and converted into Quince, then there really isn't much else. I mean, who knows, because we get other characters in Mega Man X that kind of look like Roll. So who knows if it was like... And they're all like robots, so we don't know if it was like a spiritual thing, or if like Roll's blueprints were used for other characters or something. Like, we get like no information on the classic Mega Man characters in Mega Man X. Despite X being like further in the future. All we know is that Dr. Light worked on him, and then another doctor woke him up. Because Dr. Light passed away through to old age, or whatever the case may be. I want to say Dr. Cossack, but he also appears in Mega Man 6. So I'm not quite sure the thought process on that. Oh, it's Dr. Kane, there you go. Yeah, Cossack was in 6. Kane was in X. There we go. Oh, looks like we got someone for Joanna to eat. Hold on a moment. Battle Network kind of just ends on its own, really, because if I remember correctly, didn't Hub get like a body at the end of the games? It's been a long time since I played the end of Mega Man Battle Network, but I'm pretty sure Hub gets like his own body. It's been a long time. That's, God damn it. Bit of an echo there. Hold on, I just came here to get rid of this person. Sucks that I have to do it this way. It's probably an easier way to do it. There we go. And then I don't remember if Star Force is further in the future of Battle Network or if it's its own timeline, because I know there's a crossover that happens between the two. I just can't remember if they're in like the same universe or if it's an alternate timeline thing. But Battle Network is like its own thing. And I think Lan marries Meryl, if I remember correctly. It's, like, again, it's been forever since I saw the ending to Battle Network. So I'm likely forgetting stuff. Alright. Let's make this a little bit bigger. And we can cut some of this. Did we ever, like, go into Dr. Kane in Mega Man X? It kind of just feels like we mentioned him as who woke up X, and then that was kind of it. Because I know the biggest problem was that they find X, and they use his blueprints to create the other Reploids and stuff like that. But they never, like... And then, like, the problem with that was that because they used X's, blueprints, that causes problems later because of, you know, the Reploids going Maverick and stuff like that, because they all have the ability to choose, and that's why X became like a variable type of thing. And then of course you have 0, because 0 was created by Wily to kill Mega Man, but that never came to be. And then Zero has like a virus that becomes a problem, which I can't remember if it was because of Zero that's why Sigma got infected. Because I think that was like something they tried to expand on in like a short anime OVA that they did. But I can't remember if it was because of Zero that Sigma got the virus or if it was something else that caused it. But it was basically like a whole thing where Reploids were going Maverick, so you have the Maverick Hunters, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden Sigma goes Maverick, and then slowly the other characters who were originally supposed to help the city and stuff like that, or help the world and stuff like that, they all go Maverick, and then it just snowballs from there. All right, have a good night. Because when Sigma became a virus or had like the Sigma virus and all that, like that just started like warping all the machines into like crazier shit. Same thing for when Mega Man Zero became a thing, because it just seemed like the viruses and like the Elf Wars stuff, like everything just started becoming more and more out of whack and bizarre. Like machines were like mutating and stuff. I was just like, Jesus Christ, what the hell happened to this world? And oh my god, the elves were such a fucked up mechanic in the first Mega Man Zero game. Because if you wanted to get like a perfect score, you had to go through the game without using any of the elves. And that's like not something you're even told. Or anything like that. So you have to collect every elf in the game, and then you have to like not use them for anything. Because if you use even one, it drops your score like heavily. Alright, got this much of her. If I want to add on accessories, I'll do that later. I think I just want to start off. Yeah. And I think that was like the extended information that they put on to show where they got that from. Because I think in the early stuff, not part of the I can't remember if that was like part of the earlier or like the early games when they had like the anime cutscenes, or if that was like the OVA. I can't remember which was which. But yeah, like Zero originally had the virus, and that caused problems for other Reploids too. Because like the most we ever know about Zero being created by Wily was in the what was it called? Mega Man Battle Tower or something like that. Power Tower, or god, it was something. God damn, what was it called? Mega Man Power Battle, I think that's what it was called. Mega Man Power Battle. Was that what it was? Yeah, Power Battle. You find out because you have to play as base, I think, in Power Battle 2, where you find out you find out that Wily created Zero, and that he was supposed to be more powerful than base, and then base was like, kind of shrugging it off, like, yeah, right, type of thing. But then that's like it. Like, we never get any other information other than the glowing W on Zero's forehead later down the line, and then it gets broken by Sigma. Sigma gets the virus, and then all that stuff happens. But like, we never get any other information after that. I think we just get like a shadowy image of Dr. Wily, and then that's about it. Hold on a sec. But yeah, I wish they would expand more on Mega Man a little bit in terms of stuff like that. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the new Mega Man game that's coming out, because maybe that'll clarify a few things. But it's already been like 2 hours. I think I'm gonna stop for now, and we can work on this tomorrow night. I'll still work on the Hetty versus Marcy comic off stream, because that's just gonna have stuff that I can't show. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming. Yeah, this is gonna be a shorter stream today. It is Monday, so tomorrow and Wednesday I might not be able to stream, but we'll see what happens. I'll let people know if I can't stream on Wednesday. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a good night, alright? Take care. Bye-bye.